Hi, I'm Mizzy, and I'm a mixed girl in a mixed up world. We are doing an interview with my little brother, and we are doing a retrospective look back on the last year because today is the 1 year anniversary of me starting a mixed girl in a mixed up world. My adventure of interviewing people about racism and bigotry and world topics. And I've also moved into interviewing families of people who have been murdered to help their families get their issues out there. So I've started weirdly with some hiccups and bumps, but I've started learning how to navigate through social media trying to do a blog. So welcome to my little brother, Daryl. What's up, bro?
Hey everyone. Hey Mizzy.
What's going on?
It's been quite a year. I want to say I'm proud of you on all the stuff that you've already done so far, helping that woman so far, and all the things that you've dug up with the case of her son. That's I'm very proud of you, the work that you're doing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. It's weird. I find that my little weird knowledge of murder from watching so much true crime is weirdly paying off. So it's a weird thing, but I'm glad I'm able to help people, and I have some other interviews coming up, and there's a couple local interviews that I'm going to conduct. So yeah, if I can help people, I want to help anybody I can. And that was why I started this, so we could get out people's stories about, it was to get out stories about racism and bigotry, but now it's branched off into a few different areas. So I got tentacles going all in a few different directions. So it's been fun.
Very good. Helping tentacles this time.
Yes. So what was this year been like for you? We started, you were my first interview of 2020 in August, and it's been a crazy year. So what was it like for you this year?
It's been all over the place for me. I mean, I myself personally had a lot of health issues, so I was not working, especially with the pandemic, and then how everything was too. But for me, I've actually been fortunate in that I was able to get a new job and get in with a good new company. So some things with the changes and the turmoil that's in the world right now, sometimes good things can come out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you found a job that you're good at, and you can be not hating your job, and when you don't like your job, you hate the world sometimes.
Absolutely.
It starts to weigh on you.
Yeah, it's not a good thing when you dread waking up to what you need to do day in and day out. So it's good being in a place that I like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I get to a job that helps out little animals too, and makes them healthy. So.
I love that. I love that. Why don't you tell people what you do?
I work for a company that makes machines that test blood or other samples for pets, for vets, so that they can check if they're diabetic or something like that and need to get supplements or something like that. But it's neat work.
I love that. I love it. So we're gonna go through a real quick world topics of the last year. We had a crazy election, and it's been lunacy ever since. What are your thoughts on what happened with the election?
To me, it wasn't as unexpected as it was to a lot of people. I mean, I myself saw the writing on the wall with, I don't even want to say his name, ex-president. With his prior actions, I'm not surprised that the Republican Party and all of his constituents and sycophants really were pushing a false narrative of how the election was actually going in the order to fraudulently try to continue to hold on to the throne as he really thinks of it, of the United States of America. It's deplorable. I'm not surprised the way that went down. I was a little surprised at some of the events that stemmed from the event afterwards, the election with the insurrection, but
yeah, we're gonna get to that part in a second.
Yeah, the election was not a surprise to me. I'm very saddened that my thoughts were confirmed of how people would act, but
yeah,
not surprised at all.
What are your thoughts on us having a female, half Black, half Indian vice president?
I am over the moon about that. I mean, I wasn't initially as fond of Kamala during the debates for the Democratic nomination. She didn't come off as well to me, but after the nominations were all locked in, I was able to see her in a different light. She was pushing for something different, just to help then, instead of be the one to lead.
Yeah.
And it really reveals the people in a different way. So I am very happy with her so far, and hopefully she continues to push for the good of the country and people's well-being.
Yeah. I am so excited and happy that she is our vice president. She's kind of an idol of mine. I just love strong Black women, and I think she is, like, you know, if you have watched any of her Senate questioning of people like Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr, that chick's a badass. So I'm so excited she's our VP, and maybe one day she'll be the first female president. So
time will tell.
Time will tell. Let's quickly talk about the insurrection, because I don't really want to spend much time on it because it brings you down. It's a negative energy, very negative energy.
It makes you angry.
Yeah.
It makes me angry.
Yes.
And I mean, honestly, the insurrection is less surprising to me than even how far the Republican Party has gone to try to bury the fact that it even happened.
Yeah.
And to wash off any wrongdoing of the people that that they were really accomplices to.
Yeah.
In this.
It is a day that will go down as a very dark day in this country, in the history books. The day that fellow Americans try to do a coup and take over our capital and try to steal an election that they lost. And it is a very dark day in our history to see that a flag that didn't even make it into our capital during the Civil War was marched through our capital. Just even saying that makes me sick, because we've come so far in this country, and seeing what's been going on, you realize how far we really haven't come. But we've come so far in this country since the Civil War. And for that flag to be marching around in the United States Capitol is disgusting.
It's definitely one of it is definitely the lowest internal point, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this, the lowest point in my lifetime of American history, of our actions, of things that we have done ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, let alone like setting aside things like 9/11 or the things that were done to us, but that is something that is a completely different spectrum of horror of things happening to this country.
Yes. Yeah.
The fact that we would attack some of our own people would try to usurp it in order, because they don't agree with the way that a properly held election was done. Yeah. And the methods that were being used to elect people in the safest way so that people could stay alive during a pandemic.
Yes. Yes. I think besides this 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombing in my lifetime are, I think, the three biggest things that have happened for attacks on our country. I mean, we've had other attacks, you know, we had the bombing at the Olympics, but on a grand scale of like those three are the biggest. And, you know, two of them were internal. One of them was, you know, extremists from other countries. It's sad when it's people from our own countries attacking us, and it just spits in the face of our Constitution and our democracy. So that puts us over to the beginning of 2021. So Biden and Harris were inaugurated. They got into office and started working on Corona. I thought we were headed in a decent direction. The vaccine was rolled out, started getting out there to the public, and then it just kind of took a nosedive. This culture war of vaccines and unvaccinated and this craziness about getting a vaccine started amping up. And it's just insane for me to think that people are so angry about getting a vaccine, so angry about wearing masks. There are people who claim to be Christians and will not wear masks so their family and their neighbors and their friends will not get a disease that is killing. We have well over 600,000 people in this country that have died, and people won't wear a mask. Love thy neighbor. What happened to that? I thought that was the Christian thing to do. Love thy neighbor.
And it's the simplest thing you can do. It's the easiest thing. It takes negligible effort to do it.
And if you don't want to get vaccinated, that's the easiest way to not spread it. If you don't want to get vaccinated, it's just, and people are screaming, we're oppressed, we're oppressed. No, you're not. You want to see what people being oppressed is? Hop in a time machine and go back to, slavery time. Hop in a time machine and go back to the 60s. You know what? You'll see what oppressed people look like. Putting on a mask is not oppression. Yeah, no shirt, no shoes. You can't go into a store, but people aren't saying they're oppressed for that.
No,
just lunacy.
Well, it's the politicization of it. I mean, I'm sad that if it hadn't been that politicized like it had been, it probably wouldn't have been an issue.
And we probably would have a lot more people, not even probably, we would have a lot more people alive right now.
Yeah. And we wouldn't be as divided as we are.
I agree.
It's just one of the things that just drove a wedge into the people of this country of saving each other.
Yeah.
It should be the simplest thing. And everyone thinks they're an individual, but we are a community. No man is an island. Yes. And this political warfare and this culture war is like, it gets too much. It's like neighbors around here driving around with Confederate flags, and I'm like, dude, you live in the North. Hello. You're not a Southern good old boy. You live in the North. Get your stuff together, buddy. It's very similar up in Maine. Sadly, there's a lot of very diehard Republicans,
and it's fine if somebody wants to be Republican. I have my views on it, and that's fine. But the extremism on the far right, I'm not talking about some of these people who were, who did what was best for the country and didn't vote for who that are still Republican. who are fighting to get their party back, which I think it's gone. It's too far. But the extremism and the how angry they are, it just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And it stinks because their anger ends up coming to us, and we get angry because they're angry, and it's just this big circle of craziness from both sides.
Yep, the anger feeds anger, and it's just an endless cycle. No one wins. Everyone loses.
And it hurts all of us, and we all become a part of the monster and feeding the monster, because I admit it. I get angry and I start yelling at my TV, and I try not to say stuff out to people. And I try, because I'm the type of person, if nobody's figured it out, is I like to speak my mind. So anything I say online, I'd say it to your face. But it's like, you guys, we all have to stop feeding the anger monster, because it's out of control.
And it's like it's to the point. I just like, I don't know what to do anymore with it.
How do we?
You just blindly ignore it as much as possible and hope it's going away. That's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
Do you reason with the anger? The reasoning doesn't seem to work. What's the solution there?
And we need to sit down more often and have conversations, kind of like what we're doing right now. Both sides need to sit down and come to the table, to listen, not yell and scream, because yelling and screaming isn't working. It's just not working. So let's take a little bit further in the year after the insurrection. Let's get to the Chauvin trial. I am surprised. I was hopeful that he would be convicted, but I didn't have faith that it would happen. And I was pleasantly surprised that he was convicted. I just think he should have gotten a lot more time.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same page with you. I mean, I am satisfied isn't quite the right word.
Yeah, there's no satisfaction because George Floyd is still dead.
Right. I am appeased, at least.
Yeah.
Is the closest word I can come to in my lexicon of like how I feel with the outcome of it. That I did not honestly expect it would go that way. So that makes me happy that it shows a change in the directions of how things should be handled, and it sets precedents for people.
Yeah.
But I was not expecting it at all, really.
It felt weird because I was celebrating, but a man is dead. So what celebration can we really have? It's sad that we have to celebrate one cop, one dirty, disgusting piece of crap of a human is behind bars now. And it's like, this system, our justice system needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work. And it's sad that, like I said, we were celebrating as a community that, yay, we got one. And it's like, no, we should be having a lot more of that this shouldn't be a one-off. And I hope it's not. Because if you murder someone, whether you're a cop or a regular citizen, you should go to jail.
And we've definitely got a long road ahead of us, but no path to greatness does not start with a single step.
Yeah, definitely.
And I hope that this is one very large step in a positive direction.
I agree.
And I hope it bears a warning to other people that type of behavior is not acceptable.
Yes, I hope
Dehumanization of a man who was just leaving the store.
Yeah, that's some of the big stories that happened this year. Mostly in the beginning, since I started this blog. What other things do you think of when you think of the last year?
Loss of the sadness of losing places that were familiar that we could once go to. Restaurants closing, the multitude of like concert and club venues that are gone, that just could not themselves even with the paycheck protection programs in place.
Yeah.
Places that we'll never get to go to again. That's off the top of my head, one of the things that stands out to me is just the loss of what we once had.
Yeah. And the sadness that if we all worked more together, would some of those places be able to be standing still?
Absolutely, or even be able to reopen. I mean, if people could be socially conscious enough to not kill each other with our breath because we don't want to wear a mask, we're not going to have what we had. And I know it's never going to be the same. Nothing will be like it was before.
Yeah.
But we can find an equilibrium with the past, at least, to at least be in a more positive place than we are now.
Yeah. It's weird because the last year has been, I've had a lot of growth in the last year. I still have a lot more to do. Yeah, I still have a lot more to do, but I've had a lot of growth this year, and like my attitude on life has changed, but my attitude or my feelings on my fellow man has definitely changed, because I see some of the greatness that this country has, where people are kind and open-hearted and willing to help others. And then I see the disgusting, vile depths of, I don't even know the adjective I want to use, of how disgusting the other side of the coin can be. And if we could find a middle ground, I mean, it would be nice. And when I say the other side, I'm not meaning Republican or Democrat or black or white. The whole sphere of this country it's depressing to see how the other side of the coin of kindness and love, the other side of that coin is just such dirty, disgusting, and vile. And we need to fix ourselves. We as a country need to look at ourselves in the mirror and decide who we want to be, because right now it's not a pretty picture.
It's not the country I want to be in right now. I'm disappointed in this country. I grew up, when I was a kid, I mean, especially growing up in a very white neighborhood and going to a very white school, and I was told that this country was the great melting pot of the world, where all these different cultures and everything, we come together and all these ideas merge to form a more unified whole of what we are. But it's like this past year has just brought into a lens of like that melting pot has just been shaken up, and all the dirt is floating to the surface, and the rest of us are drowning underneath it.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. That's a very good way to put it. Like I said before, people say they're Christian, and people aren't acting Christian-like at all. And it's sad to see. I knew this was there. It was bubbling under the surface. I just didn't know how much. I thought there were a lot less bubbles.
Yeah, it's very easy, like when you don't have those things being pushed into your face like they are right now, to think of, oh, that only happens in the dark corners of this country. That's not something that happens on my street corner.
Yeah.
But it's in our backyards. It's everywhere, sadly.
Yes, it is. What are you hopeful for the next year?
That we will reach a better place in vaccination, and that hopefully we can find a way to agree to mask mandates in places that need them, things like that. But I mean, I know we can do this. I mean, we have come together as a country before on unifying things. I was hoping that this would be the next unifying cause in our country, like how things were after 9/11.
Yeah, I agree. I when I think of how patriotic our country was after 9/11, and where are these people now? Why aren't we banding together like we did after 9/11? Because we're having a 9/11 every day with the amount of people who died. And it's
Sadly,
bad.
with this, it's harder to have an us versus them mentality about it when us and them are both the same people.
Yeah, I agree.
It's easier for some people to hate an outsider. For someone who's, oh, they're not part of our country, we can attack them back. They destroyed our things. But it's different when you're attacking, when one hand is fighting the other one.
Yeah, definitely. What are you hopeful? I know I already asked, what are you hopeful for? But what do you hope will happen in the next 6 months? Like anything, like what are you looking forward to?
You mean on like a personal level, or
Yeah, maybe a personal
in the country,
level.
in the
I mean,
world, or
it's a little of both, you know. What are you excited for the future, your future? What do you look forward to in your future that could be part of the world, you know?
oh, actually, a part of it is like really in general the return of music. Really,
Yes.
I mean, they're starting to have some concerts again. I know it's still dangerous, but there are, well, fortunately, as far as I have seen, there are places that they're requiring vaccination cards. I personally, actually, my wife and I had traveled to Boston and New York over this past weekend, and both places were requiring vaccinate proof of vaccination in order to enter, which made us feel so much more safe.
Yeah.
And like there's another concert that we're going to in next month that I'm hoping will be very much the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Before, when I was getting ready, I was listening to some music, and there's an artist that I've come to really like. And I'm like, you know what? Someday I would love to see him in concert. And it's like, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of scary thinking about going to those places right now. And you know, I want music to come back. It just, you know, artists to come back. And even though I can't go to all the concerts I want to go to because of my health, it's just nice to know that they're there. You know, as a singer songwriter, it's nice to know that people are out there making music and performing. And you know, there's so much music, there's so much great things about music, and the live musical experience can touch your soul in a different way. And you know, in theater musicals, like, you know, to have stages, you know, being played on again, whether it be theater or just music, musicians, it'll be a good feeling when that stuff really comes back fully.
Yeah, music has this natural ability to bring warmth and color to what can otherwise be a very gray world.
Definitely.
And it inspires people, and it brings hope.
Yeah, definitely. Music can change your whole life. You know, you could be in the depths ready to jump off that bridge, and you hear a song that moves you, it brings you back from the brink.
I know music that has certainly changed my life. And I still listen to them to these days, and it brings you back to those times. It has a way of a psychosomatic way to touch that part of your body. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, this year has been an adventure. I've enjoyed talking to everybody, and I'm glad you were my first interview. I did another, like we did a quick interview one time right after Ginsburg passed away. And so that's one reason why I wanted to talk to you, because you were my, my inauguration was, talking to you. And it's been a crazy year. I've talked to so many people and so many strangers, and it's been fun, and it's been heartbreaking at times to hear some people's stories. And it's been so fun to learn from people. Like, it was awesome. Like I said, I'm so glad I asked you to be my first interview, because it made things easy, because I didn't know how things would go. But it made, our conversation, and we got to learn a little bit about each other too, our different experiences. Mm-hmm. Before we wrap this up, with how things have been with the racial tension in this country, the Asian community being attacked, and, right now the water protectors are trying to stop a pipeline, and they're being attacked. And what is your thoughts on the racial tension in this country?
Yeah, like so much has changed, but so much has not changed. But I mean, just for example, like the voting laws that have been enacted to target people of color, and that the oppression that brings, it's just bringing back some of the old darkness that's been in the country for years and bringing it back to the light. Hopefully, some of this shining a light on things will hopefully bring change.
I hope so, because John Lewis didn't get his head bashed in Selma for this BS to be going on right now. Dr. King didn't go march with them in Selma for this stuff to be going on. We as a people, we as Black people fought too hard to get the right to vote, to let it go back now. And I'll be damned if this is going to go back the way it was in the 60s. I'm fortunate to live in a state where I have the right to vote, but that's because I'm in a northern state that's mostly white, and it's not like that down in the South. And it's not just the South. Anywhere, all over this country, they're trying to enact laws. Actually, in this state, they enacted some laws that are kind of messed up, but they're not taking away my right to vote. You'll have to pry that right out of my cold dead hands.
Sing it, sister.
Literally, your sister. So in closing, I appreciate your support. Like I said, I wanted to talk to you tonight because you were my first interview, and like I said, it's been a crazy road for me. And like I said, things are expanding in a totally different direction, but I'm trying to keep this core part too, talking mostly about racism and bigotry. And I want to make sure that I can fight these issues even if I can't be out in the streets. And I appreciate you, like I said, your support and you coming to talk to me a few times. And he's the one who made me my website, even though I have to update it and learn how to update it again. I'll cut that little.
I'm happy to be able to have help give you that support and help you out with your website and promote you. I mean, I know you're able to do great things, and I have see a lot of prospects in you in the future.
Thanks, bro. Well, thank you for coming to talk to me tonight. It's been fun. And I am Mizzy, and this is my brother Daryl. And we are two mixed people. Thank you for coming to talk to me tonight. I really appreciate it. And I am Mizzy, and I'm a mixed girl in a mixed up world. You guys have a good night.